3 names, 3 nightmares, 1 tower. King Jahad, the tyrant who sealed the tower in his iron grip. Fog, the revolutionaries who claim to fight for freedom but drown in their own bloodshed. And Rachel, the most hated character in anime, proving that betrayal cuts deeper than any blade. But who is the true villain? Is it the king, the rebels, or the traitor? Today, we break it all down. Let's begin.
小さなお姫様そのおじさんの手を決して離しちゃダメママもすぐ来るの
Part 1, King Jahad, the tyrant who sealed the tower. First up, we have the king of the tower himself, Jahad. This guy was the first to conquer the tower, and instead of moving forward, he chose to rule it with an iron fist. While many see him as a dictator, his reign brought order to a chaotic world, ensuring that the tower didn't collapse into anarchy. However, his fear of losing control turned him into something much darker. Jahad's power comes with extreme restrictions. He forbids his princesses from having children, terrified that their inherited strength could threaten his rule. And yet, despite this decree, one princess defied him. Anak, the daughter of a former princess of Jahad, was born in secret, an act of defiance that would cost her mother everything. When Jahad's forces discovered the truth, they didn't just punish the mother, they erased her completely, as if she had never existed. Her crime? Daring to love and bring a child into a world where only Jahad's rule mattered. Anak was left to survive on her own, carrying both the strength of her mother's bloodline and the scars of Jahad's ruthless judgment. This is where Jahad's villainy truly shines. He doesn't just eliminate threats, he erases their very existence. He manipulates the entire system to keep new challengers from rising, and anyone who dares to oppose him is branded as an enemy of the tower, their fate sealed before they even realize they've been targeted. Anak's entire life became a testament to his cruelty, her very existence a symbol of his paranoia. But here's the crazy part, is he really wrong? Without his control, wouldn't the tower descend into chaos? Some might argue that his rule, while oppressive, is actually protecting the world from even greater destruction. Jahad is the classic villain with a god complex, but his motivations aren't completely evil. He's not ruling just for the sake of power, he's doing what he believes is necessary to maintain the balance of the tower. Jahad isn't just protecting the tower, he's protecting his legacy. The real question is whether that balance is worth the cost of freedom.
理由にはならない。そんなの絶対間違ってる。
Part 2. Fog, the revolutionaries or the monsters they claim to fight. On the other side of the spectrum, we have Fog, the faction dedicated to Jahad's downfall at any cost. To his followers, he's a god. To them, he's a thief who stole the tower for himself. Their goal is clear, take it back. But here's where things get messy. Fog isn't just an organization, it's a cult, a war machine, and a symbol of vengeance. Many of its members aren't revolutionaries looking for justice. They're victims who were crushed under Jahad's system and now want nothing but blood. Fog doesn't hesitate to use people as pawns. Bam is a prime example. He never chose to be their weapon. He was forced into their schemes, manipulated, and given no real options. Beta is another brutal testament to this. Beta was nothing more than an experiment, a disposable test subject in Fog's twisted plan to create new weapons of war. His entire existence was reduced to suffering, modified against his will, and turned into something inhuman. And why? Because to Fog, sacrifices are necessary. Beta wasn't a person, he was a means to an end. He was turned into an instrument of vengeance. The same organization that claimed to fight oppression subjected him to nightmarish experiments, treating him like a living weapon rather than a person. His very existence exposes Fog's hypocrisy. They scream about Jahad's tyranny, yet they manufacture their own victims in the process. Even powerful figures within Fog, like Jinsung Ha, struggle with the organization's moral contradictions. Are they truly fighting for freedom? Or have they become just as ruthless as the dictator they claim to oppose? And then there's Vile Grace, the name Fog gave to Bam, stripping him of his identity and forcing him to become their blade. His fight against Beta wasn't just another battle, it was Fog pitting two of their own victims against each other like entertainment in a gladiator pit. They raise warriors not to liberate the tower, but to feed their endless cycle of destruction. What makes Fog so dangerous is that unlike Jahad, they don't have a clear future in mind. They want to destroy the king, but what happens after? Do they install their own leader? Do they let chaos decide? Their cause feels righteous, but their actions tell a different story. If they win, will the tower be free? Or will it simply fall into the hands of a new group of tyrants? Part 3. Rachel, the most hated character in anime. And then there's Rachel. She's not a godlike ruler. She's not a terrorist. She's not part of some grand rebellion. She's just a girl who wanted more than she deserved. From the very beginning, Rachel's dream wasn't noble. She didn't want to see the stars. She wanted to become one. Her betrayal of Bam was one of the most shocking moments in the series, not because it was a well-planned strategic move, but because it was so painfully human. She wasn't following some deep ideological mission. She wasn't trying to save the world. She was just envious of Bam's potential. Unlike Jahad and Fog, Rachel is weak. She has no overwhelming strength, no divine bloodline, no grand destiny. And yet, she refuses to accept that. Instead of finding another path, she chooses deception. She lies, manipulates, and destroys those who trust her, all because she can't stand being overshadowed. And nothing showcases her vile nature more than what she did to Dan. It wasn't just a betrayal, it was cruelty, plain and simple. She didn't just use him, she took away his future, stabbing him repeatedly in the legs, ensuring that he would never walk, nor be able to run at his incredible speed ever again. She stripped him of the very thing that defined him. She made sure his dreams were dead, just as hers had been, all because she could. Her actions are, in some ways, more disgusting than anything Jahad or Fog has done, because at least they believe in something. Rachel believes in nothing but herself. But that's what makes her so terrifying. Jahad has power. Fog has an army. Rachel? She only has her mind, and that's enough. She represents the kind of villain that's not a king or a warrior, but a snake in the grass. The kind you never see coming until it's too late. So, who's the real villain? Now that we've broken it all down, who is the true villain of Tower of God? Jahad is a dictator, but his rule maintains order. Fog fights oppression, but their hands are stained with innocent blood. Rachel is a selfish traitor, but she's just playing the game like everyone else. The truth is, there is no single villain in Tower of God. The story isn't about good versus evil, it's about conflicting ideologies fighting for control. It's a battle of control versus freedom, order versus chaos, power versus weakness. Each of these characters represents a different side of the same twisted tower. Jahad is the past, clinging to power. Fog is the future, desperately trying to forge a new path. Rachel is the anomaly, proving that even the weak can be dangerous. So, who's the real villain? That's up to you to decide. Is it the tyrant who won't let go of power? The revolutionaries who will burn the world to the ground? Or the betrayer who fights with deception rather than strength? Let's settle this in the comments. Who do you think is the true villain of Tower of God? Thanks for watching and stay tuned for more similar content from this channel.
Loher.